Hi, how are you doing? My name is Rohit and I'll be breaking down the 21st match of this year's IPL with Saudi Lucknow Super Giants taking on the Gujarat Titans in the Ekana Stadium in Lucknow. And the Lucknow bowlers completely ran through the Gujarat Titans batting lineup to win this, and they helped the Lucknow Super Giants win by 33 runs. Yash Thakur, a fifer, and Krunal Pandya, he gets a three-fer, but at a ridiculously economic 11 runs in 4 overs. So 4 overs, 3 wickets, 11 runs. That is absolutely backbreaking in any chase, especially a chase in a Lucknow pitch that is relatively difficult to bat on. You have to settle in, get your eye in, and you're generally not going to look at a score higher than around 160, 165. And the Lucknow Super Giants got 163, and it proved to be enough to win. Everybody contributed. K. Rahul and Nicholas Pooran both scored over 30. Marcus Stoinis, the headline, with a half century. And Ayush Badoni chips in at the back end with a very quick fire 20. And so that's how you get to 163. There are a couple of things I kind of want to point out about Lucknow, though, is that no matter where they go, if they bat first, they always get around the par score out of any ground, plus or minus around 5 runs. They're not the type of team to go below the par score, but they also don't go above it. They're always within 5 runs in either direction of the par score, which, if it's a case like today where their bowlers are just on it, they can defend that. But something concerns me with Lucknow about how they're not really getting into that sort of next gear in terms of their hitting. Yes, Nicholas Pooran is a known finisher, but beyond him, you're not necessarily getting any sort of consistent back-end production that could take you from a par score to an above par score. Are they still going to rely on their opening partnership of Quinton de Kock and K. Rahul to give them a platform to launch on? In my opinion, a lot of it starts with their number 3, and they're still persisting with Devdutt Padikkal. And in my opinion, that's sort of a failed experiment at this point. We saw it with Rajasthan a couple of years ago when Padikkal was also there, that unless he's opening, Devdutt Padikkal struggles mightily. And there's no real room for Padikkal to open in this Lucknow lineup. In my opinion, the easy swap would be to put in Deepak Hooda at number 3, which is a role that he excels in, not only in the IPL, but for India in international cricket. So when you have that sort of number 3 in your batting lineup, why not use him? Having that stability and consistency at number 3 can help you get those above par scores. Because some days, just par might not be enough. Because with a par score, the team that was bowling first and now that has to chase, they also know, okay, this is what you sort of have to expect. This is how we can structure it. This is who we can attack. This is who we can avoid. This is how we go about it. Their plans are uninterrupted. But if you get an above par score, so if a par score is around 160, if you get around 175, 180, that disrupts that strategy. Now you're thinking, okay, we have to go a little harder here. We have to go a little harder there. We can't just keep a level head. We also have to think, we have to get a little extra from somewhere. Where can we get that extra? And right now it looks like Lucknow doesn't necessarily have that gear, which gives me pause when it comes to how far they can actually go. Right now they're winning, so no real complaints there, but some of these matches could have easily been losses if their bowling didn't step up like the way they did, like today. But that's enough about my concerns with Lucknow. But again, given today, they got to the par score and they defended it very, very well. And now you look at Gujarat and you're thinking, what went wrong? And for the second consecutive match, they're tinkering with their top 3. I said this the last time I covered what happened in the Gujarat match, which is do not mess with your top 3. Under no circumstances do you mess with your top 3, especially in T20. Role clarity matters so much. And for the 3rd consecutive game, Sai Sudarshan is batting at a completely different position. 2 matches ago, he was batting at number 3 for Gujarat. Then he was batting at number 4, and today he's opening in place of Wriddhiman Saha. So now it's just, he doesn't necessarily have that role clarity. And you go down the order, it's, yes, you have to compensate for the absence of David Miller. But if you only have one truly acknowledged and capable back-end hitter, you have a roster construction issue, and that roster construction issue showed up again today for Gujarat. If the top 3 did not fire appropriately, Gujarat will struggle mightily. And given the margin of defeat, you could argue that had 1 or 2 of them stayed, or had anybody stayed, they could have gone much closer to this total, if not outright win. It comes down to application and role clarity, and today, you did not see any of that with Gujarat's batting. You did not see the application, you did not see the role clarity. Shubman Gill was looking very patchy. He gets cleaned up. Kane Williamson does not get going. Biya Sharath, who comes in place of Wriddhiman Saha as the wicketkeeper, he doesn't get going. Vijay Shankar goes for a run of ball. Darshan Nalkande also goes for a run of ball. So, and here's the thing, you have to be at above run of ball. And here's the thing, 160 would roughly equate to a strike rate of around 133. And so everybody around you is always at a strike rate of 100. So you're going to get behind the 8 ball very quickly. And at the halfway stage, Gujarat was already looking at a required run rate over 10. In a chase that started with a required run rate of 8. So they were going at run a ball for basically the entirety of the first half. And that came back to bite them because in that run rate pressure crept up. And knowing that this isn't a pitch that you can just freely hit, you had to force the issue. And in forcing the issue, you end up losing more wickets. And that's what ended up happening. And you have to go back and look at, what are we doing wrong with our lineup? And again, it goes back to the lack of role clarity. You have to, if you're going to tinker with your opening lineup, bring in an opener 1 for 1. Do not promote a number 3 to open. And also do not move that number 3 down to number 4. That top 3 has to be established. Your openers have to be established, and your number 3 have to be established. You look at historically in the IPL, the teams with the most consistent success. They've had a very established and consistent top 3. The most obvious example would be the Chennai Super Kings, basically from the inception of the IPL in 2008 all the way up until 2021, where they always had that consistent presence of Suresh Raina at number 3. And despite the revolving door at the opening position, they always had a consistent opening partnership. And so you have to have that established top 3. That's what makes teams successful in T20. You'll see that at the international level. So Gujarat has to figure out who their top 3 is going to be. And in my opinion, 2 of those slots are already appropriately filled, in my opinion. You have Shubman Gill as an opener, and Sai Sudarshan should be your number 3. So now your question is, who is going to open alongside Shubman Gill? Wriddhiman Saha has had middling returns this season, so if he's out of the mix, obviously you have to bring in a keeper. So they did that today with Biya Sharath. But do you look at maybe bringing back Matthew Wade as your opener and keeper? And maybe you look at other local Indian talent to be at the back end for hitting. And maybe do you think about bringing back Azmatullah Omarze to bolster that back end hitting, giving him another shot? Yes, you would lose out on the raw pace of someone like Spencer Johnson, but I think Omarze's ability to bat and bowl is a bit more valuable than just the raw pace. So I think that's a trade-off that Gujarat ultimately has to make, especially until David Miller comes back, because right now it's looking like David Miller does a lot for this Gujarat team's balance, which is surprising to me, because I thought this was a very balanced team that they could kind of weather that sort of storm, but they're just struggling, and it shows. They are among the bottom of the points table, and it's a tough road back. And so you have to really think about what can be done, if anything can be done. So Gujarat has a lot of questions to answer in terms of roster construction, in terms of role clarity, and those questions ended up costing them the match, and that's pretty much it. So with that, thank you so much for watching. As usual, please like, comment, subscribe, and I will be back for the next one. As always, have a good one.